We have a forum.
Yep, just slipped in with it. Okay, welcome back. It has been close to a month, I think, since we've met. Feels like a long time. I got used to having my Mondays off, so I'll keep my mouth shut as much as I can so we can all get home. But we got a little bit of business to do today and to really set the course of where we go from this point forward. And hello, Carl. So, and help yourself to, we're just rolling now. But, so we did have our, and I'm kind of going to do welcome and number 2 session of July 15th at the same time. We gave a presentation on the 15th. It was met very well. I don't know who got to watch that or went back to watch it. I will say they gave us a lot of praise for hard work. That well deserved, of course, but it felt sincere in there. Like it wasn't just, hey, thank y'all for the work. I really felt like they meant it and understood how much schedules to do this, particularly, well, actually, all of them seem to be that way. The ones that have been on the commission for a long time have been through a few of these and they understood what it takes. Some of them have probably been on these. So I couldn't brag about y'all enough. But thank y'all for everything we've done to get to this point of the 150%. Now, as we look forward, we want to start going down toward that 100%. And until this changes for any reason, we're going to call that $60 million. So that'll be what we're looking at. There'll be a few things that we want to do. As Josh and I had talked, we can, there's sort of no rules in any of this. There's nothing legally binding on how we have to act and operate. We can grab everything and throw it up in the air again and do it all over, or we can take 150% and pursue it from there. We can vote any way we want to vote that we talk about, or we can continue the way we've been voting. And so today is going to be more of a day of finding out how we do want to go forward. So we're going to spend a little time if anybody wants to discuss a project, but really this meeting may be pretty short because we're not going to go too deep into, we haven't voted on anything that we need to discuss today, and we're not putting together anything that we got to know about in the next week. So there's not going to be, or we're not planning on any vote of anything over the week. So the next meeting we have, we'll just be back and then really starting the grind again. But again, I think the presentation went pretty well. We didn't get the feedback that I think we were hoping for. And one of the reasons I think was they're busy, they get all their information, they looked at it. The good news is there wasn't a lot of problems. That's the feedback you usually get is, well, how about this and how about that? So I think those that did go over it, we're assuming they all did. They didn't see anything that was outrageous or that we need to be aware of, or how did we do this? They had some questions and all of that went fine. We had one commissioner that I think he said 5 were in his district and none of them made it to the 150%. He did ask, did we try to, how did we go? Did we try to put one or something in every district? And the answer that I had was we just went by the projects. We did discuss geography early on and we discussed districts a little bit. But once the voting got going, and I'm sort of saying this to say, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but we just focused on the projects. It mattered where the projects were, but at least coming from me and all the discussion we had in those latter meetings, it wasn't, well, we got to have one here. We're not doing this. So we can't have this one because we got to have that one because we got to put it in every district. That seemed to be taken pretty well from everybody. There was no, as I watch people's faces when I'm saying that, they seem to understand that and didn't seem to have a lot of problem. And again, I believe they know. I'm not sure if they all knew this, but once this gets to them, they can do, again, no rules. They can do whatever they want with it. And we have to understand that. And it's not meant to be disrespectful to us, but they're the elected political figures and they're going to have different things to have to deal with. But that will be their issue and not ours. We just want to get them the most appropriate list that we see in a fashion that they can follow how we got to it, show the math in a sense, or at least respect that we did some math on this, and then they'll take it from there. So I guess throwing out, first of all, the voting, everybody liked the way we did our voting, doing it on the spreadsheet, doing it at home. Everybody still happy to continue that way? Sure. Okay. All right. Speak up if you're not. I think everybody liked that. I did myself. So that's good. And then we've got, with we're looking at 90-ish, almost $90 million worth. And do we want to keep working on that list and then just hacking down on it? Or is there something anybody has to say? And I'm not leading to anything, but is there anything, any other way that we want to proceed coming into this last touchdown? Yes.
So there's a system called ranked choice voting. It's been in the news a lot lately because they use it in New York City for their primary system. There are some states that use it for electing representatives. So it's been around for a long time, but it's only starting to be used here in the United States. But what it would do is we would each individually rank our priority list for what is most important to us to least. And then the staff would compile those and they could see which project had the least number of people putting it as a priority. And you drop that one off and then you see how much money, like you total everything that's left, right? And see, are we below the threshold? And if we're not, then you drop now what the new most least project is. I would be happy to do a demonstration next week to show how it works, if people would be interested in looking at that. But it basically lets us say what we think is most important, and that's how we choose what would go in the list. So, but the nice thing about it is you only rank it one time, and then you drop things off until you get in that range. We wouldn't be bound to it, right? So we could say, oh, we dropped off one that was a small dollar one. And when we finally cleared the threshold, there's enough to throw that one back in. We can do that. We can talk about what got dropped off, what didn't. But it is an interesting way of looking at how to do voting.
Mm-hmm. Now, oh yeah, go ahead.
What was the name of that?
It's called ranked choice voting.
Okay, I thought of that because I was thinking verbatim exactly what you just said.
Okay. So it would be a one-time voting?
It would be a one-time vote.
And then so it basically.
It calculates
we're done.
these things, yeah. I mean, it does have the nice advantage of being efficient.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What I see with that is, especially the last part that you said, it may be one very important, but the dollar amount. So a person or a group of people could defend that if they needed. But taking basically half or a third of the money we were allotted for the first round was kind of imposing, because I can think of one project, get rid of that and everything else falls in line, and that would be logical. But if it's, if it was done the way she just suggested, Mel, right? Mm-hmm. Mel suggested, then we could defend or say, no, this is more important. Because I think we went to what is necessary, what is a want and what is a need. And I did get an email from one of my fellow persons that saw what I would consider still even more a want versus than a need. So we may have to have another category considered as important. So, I would go along with that. I like that idea. Cause it's gonna be tough breaking, taking a lot of the projects away that really may be important and needed.
Mhm. So how, and I'm curious about this, but questions would be what does it do that the current way doesn't do? Or like, what's an advantage? Is it?
Well, one of the advantages is that we each rank it once, right? Instead of what we were doing where we kept going back and looking through and all of that. The second advantage is because you're dropping off the ones that people think are the least important, right? You're really distilling down to what you're making sure that things that might be more expensive or bigger or whatever, but people think are really important, it ensures that those are the ones that get through. The other thing is let's say we're in charge of a music festival and we have to pick 3 singers to come, and we have a list, and I really want us to have an opera singer come. And everybody votes. And of course, I'm gonna put that person as number 1, but nobody else does. Everybody else is picking Beyonce and Dolly Parton and whoever else they wanna have come sing. So when that person drops out, my second choice then moves up in the ranking, right? And so that it means that I didn't lose out because I voted for what I really wanted. Because even though that person didn't get selected, I'm not then stuck with, well, I didn't get what I wanted, so I didn't get a say in anything else, right? My second choice might be Beyonce, and then I'm right up with everybody else.
Kind of like the housing vote.
Yeah, it's a little behind me.
Is it fair to say with the current form of voting, what we know as an individual is what made your list and what didn't make your list? What was within your budget and not within your budget? What ranked choice voting starts to do is introduce this, how much I liked that project. So what ranked number 1 versus what ranked number 20 for you, whether it's on the budget or not on the budget, right? So it starts to factor for me how much I like this project, not just whether it fits within the budget or doesn't fit within the budget.
And there's no budget in it, basically.
No budget because we
Picking what you like.
compile it and then we look at the budget.
Yeah.
And
But
so-
did I say that fairly?
You did, because one of the problems I found with the old system is that we have all these like little projects. And people are just throwing them in at the end, so they got a lot of votes because people maybe they weren't a top priority, but they got a lot of votes because they fit in everybody's budget, right? And so it lets you put those little projects, how important are they compared to the big projects? If that makes sense. Because for some of us, some of those little projects were very important. I felt like they were a way to get some impact in some neighborhoods that really needed those things, talking about needs versus wants. And other people were like, this other one is what I really want, but I'm just throwing that one in because I have a little money left over. And so it pulls that out of the thing and it really lets people say what they think is important.
Strongly agree with Neil. I think the biggest thing it does, we've been doing that just in a very convoluted fashion this whole time. And it just does it all at one time in a very efficient manner.
So it's interesting, and I'm probably gonna ask if you want to do a demonstration next week, if you don't mind, and so I can see it, we can see it, those that aren't as familiar, but because it may, what I like about what we have done up to now, like right now, I mean, if we've got a better way to do this, I'm game. And it's had us continue these discussions.
Sure.
So ranking once and
Yeah.
one and done, I wasn't as comfortable with that. So I like how we've done it. It's a little effort, a little convoluted, I get it, but we've had to churn it a little bit. But now we're smaller. Well, we've gone from here to here in number of things, and the conversion makes more sense at this point.
And I agree with that. Honestly, I don't know that I could have ranked all 70 projects. Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot to hold in your head at one time. And, you know, and some of them were very similar. And I was telling Josh earlier that I kind of ranked mine, but I had a bunch that were like kind of all at the same level, right? This doesn't really allow you to do that. You do kind of have to do that, but we have 20.
You
we
have,
have 20
you
projects.
have to do
You
that.
have to put them in
You
one through
certainly have
20
got to do it at this
in
point.
this one. But I think 20, that's doable in a way that 71 was not.
Right.
And also we're a lot more familiar with them because we went through that process and we had an opportunity to talk about it and people got to share with their personal
Yeah.
experiences.
I would feel just as a member,
Yeah.
I'm more prepared to take that 20 than I would have been prepared to get to that 20 out of 70. Ryan?
Just like as an illustrative example, if we imagine, we have our $60 million to allocate and there's 3 projects. There's a $40 million project, a $30 million project, and a $20 million project. I think in our old system, a lot of us would have voted in a way that prioritized the 40 million and the 20 million project because it uses all the money.
Yeah.
But what if most of us liked the $20 million project and the $30 million project the most and we thought was most valuable, and the $40 million project wasn't quite as important? Ranked choice voting would then say, hey, your ideal budget is really like a $50 million budget and these should rise to the top. And then we have the decision of, well, what do we do with this extra 10 million? But I think ranked choice voting gets that kind of behavior in a way that I'm not sure our old way of voting. A lot of us would have been comfortable just leaving $10 million like unused.
Yeah.
So if that kind of communicates the idea.
Yeah. Wait.
I think Brian pretty much summed up what I was gonna say as well. But what I think we could do, use whatever method. I prefer the one that Neil has said, but would not be, wouldn't object to the old way that we've done it. Now, the thing that bothered me with the old way, I think that first one, we took one off the table to send forward. But we had, I think at one point we had one that got 10 and 3 that got 9. And we just ignored those 9. And I looked at the way they failed. Luckily, they got on. I guess some people would say luckily they got on. But I would say even before we go in and see the numbers, let's say this is what we're going to do. So that will cut out a lot of debate.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to take the one that got the top 3. So if you had a 10, a 9, and 2 8, we may discuss like we did at the last vote. This is the one of these has to go, which one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the thought.
If I share briefly on that.
By the way,
Okay.
Isabel is online and
Oh,
listening and
magical.
participating. I'm sorry, we didn't mention that.
All right, Isabel,
Yeah, that's
what
Hi,
would you like to add? Speak loudly because you're not on the big screen.
I am Los Angeles, California, taking my lunch break from my internship. So I wanted to mention, I wholeheartedly agree with Nell that ranked choice voting is the best way to go in terms of voting. I think that I'm biased because I advocated for ranked choice voting at the county level in terms of political advocacy and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a really good voting system and it's a way to ensure that, like several other people mentioned, we don't end up with just the cheapest projects getting the most votes because they slide in at the last second into people's budgets. So it's a way to actually definitively rank, I actually want this project most, regardless of anything. This is regarding everything, this is my favorite. All that to say, I think that my concern with the or my one thing that should be brought up is the fact that $30 million of our $90 million that we have allocated is allocated towards the North Avenue Bridge. Oh my God, this bug. Oh my God, sorry, there's a bug. What is? Okay, sorry. Okay. $30 million of our $60 million is allocated towards phase 2 of the North Avenue Bridge, or somewhere around 30, I can't remember. While I think that the bridge is crucial to be built and it needs to be built, the commission did not provide very much feedback to me and Josh and Carrie. However, or not Josh, meaning Alex and Carrie and Josh. However, one of the things that they did express is that they would like to see redundant projects removed and projects that are going to be getting funding elsewhere. This project, after phase 1 is completed, I think Carol mentioned during the commission meeting, and Melissa also mentioned to me separately, if the phase 1 is completed, if the design work and pre-construction is complete, it's almost definitive that this project will get GDOT funding. Not almost definitive, but it's very likely that this project will get GDOT funding. Even worst case, if it doesn't get GDOT funding, the timeline would fall pretty well in line with just doing it at the next TSPLOST. So it doesn't really make much sense in my eyes to fund phase 2 now. It's basically just throwing money down the drain when next TSPLOST we can fund it if GDOT doesn't. GDOT's going to fund it. You know what I mean? I think they're going to fund it. So to me, it doesn't really make sense to fund it right now when we would basically be wasting that money if GDOT ends up being willing to fund it. And it wouldn't really throw off the timeline that much to fund it next TSPLOST versus this TSPLOST, because design work needs to get finished anyway. So my only point with that is, if we vote to remove North Avenue phase 2 from our proposed projects list, we can move forward, and I don't think there's really anything, there's not much left in terms of voting to do, because that brings us down to around that 60 million level. So that was just my thought, and I wanted to kind of bring that forward in terms of discussion.
So that's a good point. And kind of I won't call it the elephant in the room, but I mean, that's a big money sponge that will take away from a lot of good projects. And we can keep that in some of our discussion. But the idea, the thought is, and now I'm asking again, because I think what I heard you say is vote to remove it and then do the main vote. But so now I'm asking you, would we need to vote to remove it, or will it remove itself? That's kind of what I thought.
But that is their bottom priority. It will remove itself.
Yeah. And then we can have, like I said, I wouldn't want to just go do this vote, go home forever. I would want certain discussion prior.
And I also think we should have a discussion afterwards.
Yeah.
I think we should not make it binding. I think we should see how it plays out. I mean, because it is new to all of us. It sounds like Isabel's maybe done some with it, but you know, I've used it as an academic exercise in a classroom, just as a demonstration, but I have never actually voted on something that mattered with it. So I would like to, you know, see if it works. And I think this is a good opportunity to do that.
So how would we, all right, let's say we do it and we discuss it. How do we conclude? I'm kind of asking as chair in this case, how do we conclude it worked or didn't work? Besides me just saying it worked, let's go.
So my thought would be that, you know, we'll do like we did all the other ones where we have like if I do a presentation next week, and I don't know, is Melissa the one that normally does the tech work that sets up those spreadsheets that we vote on?
For Ashley.
Ashley, I would work with Ashley to show her how to set it up. And then we would vote, we would come back, and then we would see the results. And then as a group, we would decide whether or not we were happy with those results. I mean, I think that we can just have a discussion around that.
I have one question of you and then another statement. Will the top priority, if we have 20 projects, get a 20 and then it keeps going down? So the top vote will get 20 and everything else would just fall in line. Okay, that's the first question. And regardless how the vote comes out, because I was thinking, you said the elephant in the room, but that will cut time short. But we had a phase 1 and a phase 2. I don't know if the statement is true one way or another, what Isabel just said about if you get it started, powers to be what is it,
GDOT.
GDOT would take it over. But let's say if you took out phase one, you couldn't go to phase two till you had, a phase one. So you had that actually, you had the 7, I guess, what phase one was saying was needed. So now you would have 13, 20, wait, was it 17 or 7 for phase one?
It was 7.
7. So now you got 23 left over and saying, look, we have this money. And like the guy at the airport said, if you have a certain amount, then G would look at possibly adding the smaller amount with it. So that way you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then also with that particular process, I actually, like I said, like it. And it's hard to say we have that one project, we're gonna keep that one. And then all these others have to go, because some of them were 15, 12, 8 million. Now, one thing in I talked with 3 commissioners, and I'm not sure one of them particularly understood what was actually going on. But there is a list, and I understand one of the questions that was asked other commissioners, why didn't we get that, what they were gonna do with the 140 million, so we wouldn't duplicate anything. So I hope that was correct, that statement. So I would like for us to have that list.
Yeah.
Because that would determine whether I would stick to some of the things I had, without, main priority. Because that list would be important to us before we voted again.
No, that makes sense. And a commissioner did mention that and wanted a detailed list, not the list we've seen, but okay, 45 million for paving. What does that mean? I mean, maybe it just means 45 million for paving.
Right.
We need to know so that we see what's happening, because that might bring something out. So yeah, we do want to bring those details in. The commissioners want to see that as well. We've got to see that at the end of this anyway, because once all is said and done and we're educating the public on this, they ask us, well, what are you going to do with paving? I don't know, just 45 million, right? I mean, so we got to know that. So now it's time to start bringing in the details like that. I think
Should have had it at first, but
well, it might, should have, could have, would have, but I don't totally disagree, but I think now
we
that
need it now.
we've worked our list to 70 to 20 in a sense. Now I think we can take new information and deal with it in a good way. So we'll be looking at that. We're gonna all get a list of how this ranked. Kind of talking about that. That was a question that Mike Hamby asked, to see the list of like what got in the basket first and how everything ranked. I think that's good information for us to see as we go forward now to know where it all lined up. We've been off for a month in a sense too. We got to bring our brains back in.
All right, now we already have that based on that spreadsheet, do we not?
Yeah, we have seen it, but we're just going to get a new, nice, clean, without all the other things. And so we'll see that. And then that'll go to the mayor and commission as well. And we'll probably, I think we will be sending, I've had a couple of folks that have done some of these projects or brought projects to us that kind of wanted to know, where did I land? And so we'll be sending that out to all of the 150% projects so that they'll see. And because again, I mean, let's face it, once we're done, they can't, I told one of the project folks, no, you can't come, we're not doing this again, but as they know, they can go get in their commissioner's ear. And if they're smart, they will. So, but they want to kind of know, what are my chances if this was it? So they'll want to get ahead. So will get us that information too. And we'll probably, and I mean, it's sounding like we're liking this idea that Nell brought forward. Again, we're not needing to vote because you're just going to come show us how it is so we can visually see it. And we'll have time before we do that vote to discuss. And that'd be probably our homework at some point. I'd say go ahead and start again. Let's get these things fresh in our mind again. So we know, oh yeah, I definitely want to advocate for this particular thing, or I want to bring up the bridge, takes so much money, and maybe GDOT will pick it up. This kind of discussion on all of this. Definitely be prepared to start that discussion next week, and let's get back into these projects so that when we go through and rank these, and let's say we rank them and we all agree, maybe not 100%, but okay, that's the ranking, that's the list. We're done. We got it down to 100%. We're satisfied that we had a chance to discuss. So I just want to make sure everybody gets that moment to be able to present again the ones that they like, because we're talking about some of these little ones, and a couple of these 341 crosswalks I liked. I put them in anyway. They may have gotten my vote or click quickly. I didn't put them in because of that, of just, hey, I got an extra 500,000, I'll toss another crosswalk in, or a bus stop or anything like that. Okay.
Alex,
Yes.
do you know why they gave us that assignment, instead of just saying, y'all come up with the 60 million, instead of just saying, okay, we're gonna give you the 90 million, then you're gonna have to cut it again by 30.
Yeah.
Do you know why they did that?
I mean, as I've felt the whole way, it gives us that chance to check in with them. This is where we are. We're not done, but they don't need us to about the 70 projects, or once we started voting, the 60 projects. They don't need that from us. So push it down to 150% and then check it in and let them see and understand where we're going. One thing it did do is it gave them an idea how we're thinking also, that it should have come out. I don't like watching myself on camera, so I watched 2 minutes of me and I was done. But the, practical, as I've said before, we're trying to get practical things in front of them, practical projects. And that was the tone of it. And I think the bridge hammered it in, even if the bridge, and I don't want to lead or look like I'm leading. If the bridge doesn't make it to the final 100%, I think it set forward, let's repair, let's do these important things. And so they hopefully got that message a little bit. And then we move on to this. Jeb?
I'm sitting here looking at the DOT website, and they have already committed. Now, this is for that whole North Avenue project. Now, I'm not sure, is that being funded or not funded? I know they lost $25 million worth of COVID money, correct? Are you?
About the raise grant.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, I know that they lost, did they lose that money? Well, anyway, it's right here on the DOT website, pre-construction status report. It's been going on since, anyway. But this is really for the North Avenue Bridge over the river. But it also says an intersection improvements, including improvements to the interchange over State Road 10, which is the bypass. So there's already $3 million being spent this year on engineering. And then next year there's a $20 million fund to redo. And the map shows the whole corridor going all the way out to College Boulevard. But my question is, did they lose that money? Is that now not going to happen? I mean, I kind of thought that's what we were doing. I thought we were replacing that money.
Okay, so if we're talking about the RAISE grant, that grant transitioned from design and construction full grant to a planning grant. So there is still some money that will be funding design and sort of pre-construction efforts along North Avenue. That's my understanding, but it's not the full amount of the original RAISE grant that was offered. But there's a long history of that it's
I
not,
don't care
but
about
that it's not, the bridge itself has a little.
with the bottom line.
Bridge itself has a little bit different history. I think what I would point to for this group though is that we kind of always, the guidance that I have recommended to you is to assume, because there are quite a few projects, some that are still on our potential project list and some that didn't make that potential project list. They have all sorts of potential funding sources that might be there in the future, it might not be in there in the future, right? But to make the assumption that the funding source we're talking about here is the funding source for this project. And for the list, the ultimate list to reflect what you feel like is important. If potential funding becomes available on some of these other projects, external or otherwise, becomes available on some of these projects, which inevitably many of them will. Most of these projects have some sort of capital stack. It's not just this source or that source. Then there will be adjustments. Any adjustments will be made to the budget will be made by the mayor and commission. But in terms of our work, here's a committee, the guidance has been, yep, all that potential is out there. But there is other money on everything we possibly talk about. We want to make sure this list reflects what you feel like is important to advise the commission. Here's what we think ought to be funded. And if other funding becomes available, that's great. We'll adjust. Otherwise, we want to make sure this makes the list. What we don't want, hopefully I'm saying this fairly, what we don't want is for something that we do feel like is important to not make some sort of product that we deliver to the mayor and commission with the assumption that it'll get some other funding, and that doesn't happen. That would be bad. That's not a good product for the mayor. So that's been my guidance to you. Obviously, you can take it or leave it, but that's been my guidance, especially for this bridge, because it is expensive. And yeah, it's impactful, but there's a reason why there's that price tag on it. And maybe we do get other money, maybe we don't.
Well, to me, that idea of thinking about priorities also goes to why, in my opinion, I don't think redundancy in our project list and the mayor and commissions is a bad idea. Let's say we've allocated $6 million for dirt roads, as we have, and maybe the mayor and commission and their $140 million have $5 million for dirt roads. Okay, great. So we have a pot of 11 million. Maybe at the end of the day, it only takes 7 million to pave all the dirt roads in Athens and everyone goes home happy and there's $4 million left over. Like, that's not a problem. It gets reallocated in a democratic process. But to me, by us setting aside that money, it makes us say, damn it, like we're going to get this done. Like the pool of money is there. And if prices increase, which they probably will, if these projects run over budget, which many of them historically have, it's not a bad thing to have what is perceived as redundant funds available. So if it's a true priority, throw the money at it. It'll make sure the project gets done, is my way of looking at it. And same thing with the bridge.
A couple of things. Oh, sorry, I totally didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
You're good as
So
well.
sorry, continue. I'm sorry. It's like really hard to tell when people are done talking because of the lag. I'm sorry. I think a couple things there. While I that's kind of the route I went initially with this voting process in terms of Josh's guidance with just voting for a project if I think it's good, regardless of if it has any other funding sources. One of the biggest probably the biggest piece of feedback, we didn't really get much feedback, but the biggest piece of feedback that we got from the mayor and commission was to work on removing redundant funds or adjusting redundant funds. Yeah. Carol Myers mentioned that. I think several other commissioners mentioned that, if I remember correctly. Just said like Carol, one thing that she mentioned is that we have this big list of pre-allocated funds. She said she wished that we had been educated on all of the areas that pre-allocated fund is going towards, like the specific things. And then that way we would be able to make our project decisions based on whether there is redundancy between the pre-allocated funds and our project list so that we aren't allocating another, $10 million for paving roads if it's already $10 million is on paving roads in the middle. Unless we just want to add $10 million extra of paving roads to the list, like sure. But basically just recognizing that that pre-allocated fund is there and trying to avoid redundancy. And also with other funding sources, and same thing with GDOT, making sure that we don't have redundant funding. Because while Brian, I agree that redundant funds can't hurt the projects that it's funding. They can hurt all the projects that it's not funding. And if you're going to allocate $30 million towards North Avenue Bridge, which may or may not end up being needed, right? It may end up being just something that can that GDOT will fund. That's pretty likely that GDOT will fund it. If we allocate $30 million towards the North Avenue Bridge and then it doesn't end up getting used, the mayor and commission can restructure and reallocate, but they can only change the division between the projects. They can't add in new projects after the referendum has passed. So, to my understanding. So essentially, that $30 million, if GDOT ended up funding it, that $30 million could just go towards other projects, but it can't go towards all these other projects that we're looking at right now that could actually really use $30 million. I mean, if we don't cut out that project, we have to cut out $30 million worth of other projects, which is, I think, very significant. And the last thing I'll say is I was oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Never mind. I completely lost. The point being, I do think yes, we want to make sure that we're not, projects that are unlikely funds, but also I think it's good to think about it holistically, right? And in this case specifically with North Avenue, if we chose not to fund it in hopes that GDOT funded it, and then GDOT doesn't fund it, and the project is just over and canceled and never going to happen again, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Just in case today, we should fund that project, right? But that's not how it is. Design work takes several years to complete. And so if we're going to go ahead and pay today, it's probably going to take until around the next TSPLOST anyway for design work to be complete. So absolute worst case, if GDOT does not fund the North Avenue Bridge, it will always come, it can always be brought back to the next TSPLOST for them to fund. So I don't think that there is much risk involved with not giving the extra $30 million in funding. And it allows us to give $30 million of extra funding towards all these other projects. So that's my share. Thank you.
Okay.
In response to that, I go back to my original statement, and I hear what she's saying, but I would be willing to bet, hadn't done the research, but I know where to go. I would rather have the design money there. That leaves us with money that we can tempt the powers to be GDOT to say, okay, I have to put in X amount of dollars instead of none versus having to put in the whole 30. So I go back to my original statement. Now also, let's say hypothetically, one of the statements that Isabel just stated, that if that money wasn't used, worst case scenario, it could go to any of the projects that were on that list, correct?
On the final list.
Yes. On the final list.
That's actually voted on and voted through.
Now, the commissioners could say, we don't want any of that if they wanted to, could they not?
Well,
listen to what y'all said.
But we're talking about, what Isabel was saying is the referendum, once it's voted on, it can't be changed.
But the commissioners can change anything prior to the.
Yeah, their final list.
Right,
to go
okay.
to the voters. They,
Yeah, that-
they can do anything
And
they want.
that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering, so, I go back to my original statement, feel a bit even stronger with that now.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I'm really feeling and hearing and seeing more and more since, the 15th is and Josh says it as well, it's also the message we're sending. So if we, gonna say bus stops, we got a lot of bus stops in this, and they're paying attention, and we make sure that they understand that was real important. Now they can do this and do that and do that, but, it's a guidance. We haven't really gotten this far. I would assume when we present in September that it'll be a similar thing. We'll go to a work session. You'll speak, I'll speak, and we'll have another opportunity to better prepare them for what they're doing. In fact, that's our last chance. Now, you may be involved directly with some of it, but as a committee, that's our thing, and that's where, and I'll just stay on the bus stop thing, where the message is sent. We really want to improve our bus stop situation in town. And I get to kind of hit that. Yes, Jeff?
If you take we're still leaving in the $8 million for phase one of that bridge.
If we were, yeah.
If we took the 30 million out for phase two, basically, I agree with what Isabel's saying, and all the other projects that we've got on the list right now can be funded, right?
That's correct.
That's correct. I go to my mathematician over here.
It's correct.
I'd almost make that motion and be done with it. I mean, I'm serious. Yeah, I mean, I was the one that advocated for the bridge when everybody kind of reversed course on it, on the 30 million, but after sitting here looking at GDOT, it's on their radar, and so I think if you throw $8 million at it and they look at it and say, hey, I mean, they need to get the community feels like we need to get this bridge done. I think that especially that $8 million out of our 60 million sends a pretty strong message that, I mean, that's high on our priority list, and that the mayor, commission, GDOT, whoever needs to do whatever's necessary to get it done. It's unfortunate that the city's lost their money, but I mean, this project right here for the bridge replacement over the river is going to be done next year. I mean, that's right here. I mean, it says it's going to be done in 26. They funded $20 million. They funded $3 million already. And this document is dated 7/2/2025.
Are you sure that's not the Okokonee Bridge?
It's the river bridge.
Yeah, the one right now.
No. This is the one,
Okay.
North Avenue from Willow Street to Collins Industrial Boulevard. And right-of-way acquisition, $750,000, construction, I gotta blow it up, $20,065,000. Utility work, $1 million, and engineering, $3 million. It says they're gonna do
it
next year. Engineering has been authorized, and then everything else is pre-something, but it approved 2026 right away. All that other money was approved.
What's the PI number for that project?
Shoot.
I'm not doubting you, I'm just.
No. Let me, the project ID is 0019833.
So
I don't know what all that means as far as, is that bridge going under construction next year or not, but it looks to me like that the $3 million for engineering has been approved. But anyway,
I'll check on it.
I
I
mean,
mean, if that is,
that is indeed the case, and like others have said, and what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about two different bridges now.
No. What I mean by that is, you're right. They're going to do it, so why are we even in here arguing about this?
Well, we're talking about a bridge over the river at North Avenue with some improvements at the intersection of the, exit improvements at the, intersection over the bypass.
Alex,
Okay, so, I mean, it's a bridge replacement at the river.
Right.
And then well, I mean, I'll read it to you exactly, including improvements to the interchange over SR 10, State Road 10. So now there's a manager here, there's a project manager. But Katie, I can't pronounce her name, her last name's Knapton, Knapton. So I mean, all I'm saying is if it's on the radar for the DOT.
is there,
North Avenue.
is there a way we can get, if someone from staff or something can reach out to GDOT?
And if we throw $8 million of our 60 at it,
You think they will get it?
well, I mean, I think that tells the DOT that, hey, if you engineer it, if you can get it engineered and do the work while you're doing this, I mean, and we're contributing $8 million to it, it would probably, I mean, the North Avenue, those improvements would probably be done when that bridge over the river's done, but because we'd have to, number one, approve the SPLOST, and then we got to collect some money to get it done, unless you float bonds, but I'm against that too, but that's not my decision.
Excuse me for repeating myself, and making you repeat yourself, but are you saying what you're reading there, they address both of those bridges? And they
It
say.
says intersection improvements, including improvements to the interchange over State Road 10.
With work to be.
Now, it does not say they're gonna replace the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says intersection improvements. Don't know what that is. My point is, we're already throwing $8 million. So if we take the 30 for the phase 2 out of it, we can do all these other projects that we voted on already. I mean, and might even add some. I mean, but I mean, I'm just saying that when you're sitting here telling me that, you know, the mayor and commission's gonna be looking for monies from other places, which is rightfully so. If we throw $8 million of our 60 at it, that's pretty significant. I mean, that's more than we're throwing at the Millage Avenue redo. I mean, that's, you know, and I mean, that was our number one project. So, I mean, I'm just saying that, you know,
I'm looking at,
Is it,
I kind of, they're gonna have to do something because they're building a whole neighborhood.
oh, I know.
On that bridge, so.
Yeah.
If we were to take, I wouldn't be against, I would want it there, but if we had to take it out, which sounds like that's the most logical thing to do. If we send a letter to commissioners and say, hey, we felt real strong about this, but we didn't have the fund, add it to our list, so.
About the bridge, the 30 million, strongly, but didn't need to.
Couldn't
Yeah.
do it because we didn't have the fund, so hopefully they could read between the lines, and I think we
Yeah.
would have done our job.
And we can say that when we present the 100%, flat out tell them, look, we really want that bridge, but that took a lot of.
Of our money.
Wiped a lot of things off to do it.
Money we were given. Yeah.
And again, that's back to that setting the tone and, you know, painting the picture, getting them ready to. I mean, frankly, part of what we're trying to do here is get them as wise as possible to make their final decisions. Does that make sense? Not just preparing them so that if they're reading this and understanding, that's going to be in their head when they start there. Well, I need money over here and you've already got all of those. So why don't we put some of this over here? And you know, all of that they'll end up going through.
I'm assuming it's ridiculous to ask if we can reach out to GDOT to get further clarification.
If not, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I
It
mean,
feels like important information that should be verified before we act on it.
Right.
Yeah. it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
project, so it makes sense that,
Just looking at the numbers, it's possible, just keep in mind the possibility that this is connected with the raise grant. That the numbers we're looking at is assuming we got the full raise grant. But I don't know that, but looking at the numbers, it's possible that that's the case.
do you think you can reasonably get an answer in time?
Yes.
So, question, and I don't want to make a formal motion, so just kind of pulling the room here. Let's say GDOT comes back, they have no intent to address this bridge. Okay, let's just worst case scenario. To me, frankly, I would still be team. We have 20 projects on our list that totals 9 million. I would drop that one project. And that gets us to 60 million and 19 out of the 20 projects that we originally put on the list. Go through. For me, like the decision I would make is independent of that second phase.
I mean, it's not like we're abandoning that project.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm not saying the information isn't valid, but my kind of decision-making doesn't necessarily change. I'd rather prioritize the 19 out of 20 projects than have to cut a dozen of them, this one.
Because, well, and also the other thing is that phase 2 will not be ready until we hit the next go around with TSPLOST, so.
Well, that's not necessarily true. It just means you're gonna do the whole project. I think the first initial 8 is just getting a piece of paper with engineering.
Yeah.
And when I sit here and I see that they're engineering the bridge down the street for $3 million. Okay. I think a lot of our projects are inflated and that the people that gave us the numbers, because I mean, like they were saying a bus stop was $140,000. I'm sitting there going, I need to get the bus stop business and build these things for y'all, because I know, I mean, I just don't see $140,000 for a bus stop that seats 4 people with a cover, you know. I mean, sorry. I think I could get Tucker Ironworks to build them for me. I mean, I'm serious.
Well,
I mean,
several of the presenters have talked about the inflated price.
well, absolutely. I mean, I thought that there was a bunch of them.
so as I understood about that, it's the unknowns that they don't know the land acquisition. They don't know exactly how much of the sidewalk has to be repaired or how much has to go back. So that's one reason I brought him or asked him to come back to one of our earlier meetings to sort of explain that is when you don't know, they're going to hit it higher than lower. And then if it's not 141,000 and it's 90,000, then you got 50,000 going into something that maybe went out of whack that way. That's the best we're getting at this point. And I see Jim, but that's all we can do.
$1,000
We got. We got the number. They're gonna hit it high, and they admitted they're gonna hit it high. So we'll just have to let it fall in. And again, not our problem completely. It's becomes more of their details. What are you gonna?
Yeah, but to your point, we bid these things out, so I'll make sure you know when those bids come due.
So can I ask, what's the general sentiment on kind of dropping that one project and then our list being the rest?
I could live with dropping it as long as that letter is included. So when I'm out talking to people, I can say, well, this is what was presented. And commission is gonna make a final decision. And we're hoping they listen to us on that, on all of it. So I could go along because, you know, I would hate, there's some very good projects that are in there. Now I don't agree that every project that was given was great. I don't believe that. But what we elected, other than 1 or 2, I wouldn't want anything dropped. Name one, but that got more votes than anything.
And so the other thing is, so I'm looking at this and I'm going, yeah, we can just take that out and go home. I don't want to do that for the sake, or that simply, because I want the mayor and commission to see the process. It might save us a bunch of meetings though, to jump in. So, but I would still want to do the vote, the ranking. I mean, now the ranking to me even makes more sense because, I mean, like, why are we doing this? Well, now we want to be able to present the ranking because they're going to ask for it.
All right, I'm gonna say it. To play devil's advocate,
Mhm.
why?
I agree.
I mean, if we're all in agreement, and I mean, I agree, if we're all in agreement to take it out, that's it. We're done.
Mhm.
You
And
don't need to meet just for the hell of meeting.
I mean, does
Oh, I want-
anyone disagree?
Enjoyed my money, so.
I'm gonna agree with one caveat. So this is public, it gets published. Oh, how many people watch this? I don't watch them myself unless I am not here. I've never watched any of the other committees that meet, but there are people that do watch them, and I would like for us to meet one more time, just to give people who are hearing all of our conversation the opportunity that are in the community to give feedback, because I think that's part of our purpose, right? That's why we film this and put it on YouTube and everything. And then, are we expected to give a ranking of the projects or no?
We're not expected to, depending on how, we do it. If we have a ranking, they're gonna ask for it.
I mean, I am intellectually curious how that would fall out, but I also would like to respect everyone's being like, if we're done, we're done.
I think it could be
But I do think we should meet one more time to do the official vote.
I'm not saying we have to make a decision tonight, but I think it can also be a yes and. If everyone just wants to toss out that one project, we can have a list of 19, real done and easy. And then if the mayor and commission are also curious which of those 19, which all fit within the 60 million, are our highest priority, we can still give them a ranked list. For us, it doesn't matter because all.
They run out of money, tell them to take that bus stop out.
But, and look, I don't want to give the impression I'm trying to get out of this, but again, why? Nothing we've said tonight nothing anyone has said about this has been illogical. Granted, this is one man's opinion this whole night. Take it out. Here's your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did a ranking by.
God almighty, we have talked about this and ranked stuff for months, so it's not like we haven't done our job.
If they want to rank, it's the same as last one minus this one project.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. I'm good with that.
But we have in the minutes every time we put something in the bucket. And the first one we put in apparently was the highest priority, because we all voted for it as a consensus.
Now, that last list that we put out, gives them a ranking, let them do the math.
Well, I was gonna fall back on that and say, honestly, that's gonna be, could very well be the ranking.
And just add that, letter in there, I go along with the group.
So if I could add one comment. So one of the pieces of our charge that we have not added in yet, that there's some expectation of public engagement, public input, and consideration of public input. We have had on the website opportunities for folks to provide comment on projects. They've also, in part of our charge, they've asked us to do at least one open house style kind of public engagement. Typically, we do that at the library later on, talking about this candidate project list. But it's in time to consider that public input in the list that we generate for the mayor and commission. So I just add that in.
Yeah.
Not to say that we can't do what's being suggested, but there is another component that will probably ask us to come back in, at least know what public input there was, be aware of it, consider it, and, either it's persuasive for you or it's not, and then we move on from there.
So are you saying we should wait until next?
Not necessarily, I don't know about waiting. I wouldn't call it waiting. I think we probably proceed as the group desires. I'm just saying, one of the expectations in our charge is that we do collect public input.
Right.
We consider public input, and if we've done our work and said we're done before that public input is received, then we're probably not meeting the charge.
Again, at the risk of acting like I'm trying to rush this, I think we've all received a lot of public
Have you?
input on all these projects. So, I mean, I have no idea how to word this. It's been a long Monday, but I'll go ahead and make the motion, however it needs to be made, to remove this project with Williams' ask that there be something in writing stating what Williams said earlier needed to be in writing. So probably the most poorly worded motion I've ever made in my life.
To clarify, phase 2, correct?
That's correct, this is phase 2.
All right, got a second from Jeff. Are we getting that written down?
Yeah, so Melissa, that's a motion from Carl and a second from Deb. Is that right?
Yeah. And the motion is removing phase 2.
Correct.
Yeah, that's just basically the motion.
Basically,
There was some more words, but-
with the understanding that there'll be something in writing, and would you mind clarifying that again?
Whether it's my grandbaby will say, to add a letter saying pretty much that, well, not pretty much saying that we really like this project. However, we had to remove it because of cost. It would, because
That can be in the report.
Okay, the narrative you had for
Yeah,
sure.
narrative. And then again, it can be explained as well.
Yeah.
At that work session in September.
and I could explain it to people, anybody who asks me. And when I'm out politicking to make sure that the TSPLOST is passed, because there were some groups, I think, together to try to fight against it.
Fight against.
Against it.
There's always some group that
Going,
Oh, yeah.
well, there's always some of them, but some people wake up when they feel they're being screwed. Look at the red and black interview between the two mayors, and you have two big opposing sides, and we're not opposing, but one basically, I don't want to get into that.
Let me hold you on that because actually that's a motion. So let's
Yeah.
finish that out. Okay, everybody here understand the motion?
Yes.
Red, can you confirm that's gonna get us down to 60 million?
I was trying to find that spreadsheet, it's gone.
It's gone.
Alright, so from the presentation, project number 58, North Avenue, North Ave, Loop 10, bridge replacement phase 2 is $30,354,000. So our total project for the 20 projects we had previously designated were 89,600,000, so this will definitely bring us up.
There you go.
Okay,
There'll be a little bit of change, but
all right. I don't know that I need any fancy count here, but anyway, any more discussion?
And one thing, I'm not gonna vote for this, even though I agree with everything in it, because I feel like we should wait until we get the community input, even if we make the exact same decision that we make now. I do think that we should wait and hear what that is. If y'all are having an event, I just feel like it's disrespectful to not take that input into consideration.
But the event is for the 60 million, right?
Correct.
Percent budget. It's not.
Oh.
for-
Yeah,
It's actually not specified, but it can be specified.
Yeah.
It can be either, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't say that 150, I don't believe, right?
No, this is not, that would not be cutting off the knees of event that's coming up.
Okay, but you understand why I was.
Yes, completely, but that's not what, and for God's sakes, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is not what's happening.
No, if the event is for the 60 million, then let's go.
And the event was, my understanding was always so the mayor and commission could hear that information more than us having, I mean, we've heard, we've heard it, and talked it, heard it, and talked it.
that's what that was gonna be my point. In my mind, we are
But the
independently
commission happens,
advising,
so-
it's their duty to get public input.
So that can still happen after this happens.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, all.
Isabel had her hand up.
Had your hand up?
Isabella Schwanda. Hey, Schwanda.
Hi. Okay, all opposed. That would not leave anyone for that. How about that? All right.
Maybe Melissa on?
She should be still listening, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so having done that, we are not gonna be meeting on Monday, I don't believe. Is there anything that we need to show up for?
At some point, I'll need to schedule, I think I have a duty to familiarize you with the pre-designated list.
Mhm.
So at some point, that probably needs to happen, and there might be something else that you and I will talk about, we'll schedule. I think you're right, next Monday, we just.
So you just email us that?
I'm gonna email you for sure, but I think I probably should, offer you something in person as well, maybe later on, it's not. But we'll schedule that with Chair.
Yeah, so if we need to meet again, just out. And if there's anything we need to address before, and like I said, I like having my Mondays off as well, so. But if there's a need prior to the September, just to bring us all in, so we can go into that. Good, and then let's not forget that once the mayor and commission has done their vote, their final vote on what goes forward should be in December. That's what we're counting on. Then we'll get together and we need to put together the committee that's going to go out and educate the public and how we do that. And as chair, that is not going to be my job to be in charge of that. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. So
Go ahead and vote that you are in charge.
no, not. Meeting adjourned. We have to question those.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, thank you. All right, second.
Second.
All right, go home or somewhere.
I've got to go home, we can't stay here.
Where you want these? You gonna